So in answering that question, I would say it's a combination of both. In different situations, I feel like we have to understand our culture, how we fit in with others, how to relate when it comes to jobs, how it comes to just everyday conversations with people. When we talk about color, whether somebody calls us black, African American, what have you, it's still a perception of how we're looked at and the comfort level that we have to be at how others look at us. Probably more as a black man. I think that's very important for us to understand where we come from. When people say African American, I think that just, my grandparents are from Jamaica, so I don't need to, tell people, hey, no, I'm not African American. It's that comfort level of just being, I'm black and being comfortable with that and not have to, all these subtitles that we have to be involved with. When I think about that, it's I still remember being in high school, and I remember at that time a lot of the kids that I went to school with, Pike was still a predominantly white school, and I remember I used to listen to WZPL quite a bit, and I remember my dad saying to me one day that it was okay to listen to that, but how often are you listening to WTLC and just really understanding who you are, and that's something that really hit home with me, because it was like, wow, here I am with these white guys that I was hanging out with, which was fun, and they were involving me in what they dealt with, but I wasn't bringing anything to the table to them. So that became super important to me to say, hey, as a black man, this is what I bring to the table.
Is what you're saying?
Yes. Again, I see it as a combination. I think if you try to separate the two, I don't think you do it justice. There's times when both of them come into play really at the same time. So probably just really as far back as, really I would say probably more so, not even necessarily much research, but just the understanding of just my grandparents. So, on my mom's side, grandparents were black. My dad's side, they were from Jamaica. So, it was a different culture as far as, I remember even like the food we ate was different. But my grandparents is probably as far back as I've ever gone. I have not. Other than his brothers and sisters, so my dad was the first, so I have two older aunts and uncle before my dad that were born in Jamaica. My dad was the first born here in the United States. So outside of that, I have not ever met anybody because I do believe we still have some relatives that live in Jamaica, but I've never met them. I wouldn't even say he's that integrated. Like I said, he was the first one born here in the United States. He knows just as far as like the food and some of the culture, but nothing that I think he really himself inundated himself into of really having a better understanding of where he came from. I would say, unfortunately, probably the only thing would be food.
Okay.
And it's one of the things that, I hope we don't lose, because we don't have too many females in the family who have even learned kind of the Jamaican culture of, some of the, black eyed peas and rice, the Jamaican chicken, different things that I had growing up that, absolutely love, but we haven't really passed that on very well as far as others being able to make it. I've been to Jamaica only once, and that was actually more for one of my friends got married, so that was the only time I've been. My dad actually wanted me to visit some of the relatives that we had, but I just knew with the short period of time that I was going to be there that it would have been more of a disservice than a service to try to meet up with people that I've never met. This is where a part of me, family-wise, grew up, and it was still one of those that I want to go back, when it's not other obligations that I'm actually there for, but to actually be able to really explore Jamaica and really be able to visit people that might still be part of the family. I think first and foremost has to be, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. Without that, no matter what color you are, it's just difficult to relate to anybody if you're not comfortable with first and foremost who you are. Secondly is to be able to intermingle in any situation. I know a lot of my friends have always said what they appreciated about me was that it didn't matter what circle we were in, I could adapt to whatever situation we needed to adapt to. So again, that's a comfort level of understanding who you are and the adaptability to fit into any situation. And then lastly, I think family is important. If we don't understand who our family is, continue to try to build each other up to where, we can be positive and really get out all the negativity. It's easy to be negative. It's much harder to, how do you find the positives in life and how do you move forward so we can grow as Black people, as a culture. If we sit and think, oh, this is why we can't get this and this is why we can't get this, there's other cultures, there's other ethnicities that have been in similar situations that we have, but have persevered, and I just want us to be able to persevere like some of these other cultures have. Well, it didn't start from day one. So I've had my struggles where I've said things or done things that weren't the right thing to go about. But I think as I've gotten older, different people that I looked up to and how they handled situations, I tried to implement those in my life. I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my kids. And so I knew some of the things that I was doing was childish. And it was how, as a man, and again, trying to be a successful Black man, being very important to me, how do I separate myself to be someone who's looked at with the same integrity as everybody else? And that takes a lot of self-awareness. That takes a lot of, sometimes you got to sit back and listen more than you speak, and sometimes that can be tough. So those are some key things that really I tried to change and implement in my life to get to the point to where I am today.
Thank you, brother. That's good stuff, man.
All right, thank you.